My family we were victims of pretty horrific crime. My sister, while she was in college, was kidnapped and raped, and it devastated our family. And I knew that I wanted to be a prosecutor. I wanted to put bad guys in jail, and I did. I'm very proud of a lot of the work that I did, working on the case against Brian David Mitchell, the kidnapper of Elizabeth Smart, and some of the others were very important to me, and I'm very proud of that work. But it was during my time as a prosecutor that I also saw the broken aspects of the criminal justice system. The reality that we were not decreasing recidivism and that we were applying one-size-fits-all to many prosecutions, that we were over-incarcerating low-level offenders and actually making recidivism worse. I've spent the last 15 years working on criminal justice reform. If I can embrace criminal justice reform, given what's happened to my family and my intention to try to reach justice, if I can become aware of aspects that can be improved and changed, then I think anybody can. I believe that conservatives are the most important voices in criminal justice reform, and that's because of one reason, and that is because conservatives also care about public safety. They come with ideas and thoughts and a background that is not just simply unrealistic, abolish or defund the police, or let criminals out without analysis, or do nothing with them while they're incarcerated. I believe it's conservatives that are going to save the criminal justice system. I find it incredibly ironic that of all of the government, and as it continues to grow, there's been one area consistently that we have been reluctant to hold government accountable, and that's in the criminal justice area. You know, I always tell people 95% of all individuals prosecuted and incarcerated are getting out. And what shape do you want them in when they get out? We don't have to have a crystal ball on this. Texas, Georgia, Florida, these are red conservative states who are all starting to figure out we can change the criminal justice system without compromising public safety. I'll give you an example. There's a prosecutor in Arizona. He has the largest county of individuals that re-enter from incarceration into his county. He started collecting data, and he just simply wanted to know if he changed some of his prosecuting decisions, if he started decreasing the amount of time he sought for certain crimes, and if he also started to decrease the number of prosecutions that he did, he wanted to see what would happen. And it was astounding. The crime rate went down and recidivism rate went down in a greater percentage than any of the other counties in the state. We've always thought if we're not tough on crime, then crime is going to run rampant. The reality is we need to be tough on certain kinds of crime, but we need to be smart on other types of crime. Taking away somebody's ability to work or taking away somebody's ability to provide food for their family, you're giving them no other alternative but to continue in criminal behavior. We're now seeing that in some states, the cost of just incarceration, for example, is reaching nearly $100,000 per year per inmate. We can't sustain that. The largest part of the Department of Justice's budget, for example, is the Bureau of Prisons. We are still leading the world in incarceration. Polling across the country shows that conservatives are just as impacted by the criminal justice system as anybody else, and that they want change. There's not a family that isn't impacted by the criminal justice system. And right now, families are suffering. We certainly, the families of victims deserve to have the cases investigated, and the justice system needs to protect and look out for victims of crime. But we're also devastating families in many instances unnecessarily, either by the length of the sentence or by the prosecution or by the way in which we go about serving justice. And so if we can do that better, which results in a tighter and better family unit, then the fabric of our community can stay together rather than being destroyed.